Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch & Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch & Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch & Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.
Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels.
Three Parallel Podcast. Come take this walk with me.
Welcome to the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, embrace who we are, and make room for who we're trying to become. This show is designated or designed for anyone who is interested in creating change. Change within themselves, change within their minds, their hearts, their bodies, and their souls. This show is for those who are on a wellness and change journey or transformation journey to become the best version of themselves possible. This show specifically is for clients, students, supervisees, helping professionals in training, the helping community, those who are dedicating themselves to helping themselves or others. If that's you, you tune in to the best show. You tune into the right show. You tune into a show that's designed specifically for you. Within this first episode, you'll know if this show is for you or not. And if it's not, come back at another time when it is. But if it is, buckle up, buttercup. You are in for a ride. So my disclaimer, before we dive too far in, the information, views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely my own and don't reflect those of any organization or entity that I might be affiliated with. While I am a licensed therapist, this podcast does not serve as a substitute for professional mental health care, therapy, diagnosis, or treatment. The content shared here is general advice and not intended to replace personalized therapy. If you're experiencing any mental health crisis currently or have concerns about your mental health, mental well-being, please seek guidance of a licensed mental health professional in your area. Remember, while this podcast can offer valuable perspective, it is not a replacement for therapy, so take care of yourself, protect your peace, and thank you for investing your time and attention to the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch. So now protocol has been established. We know what this is, and then we know what it ain't. Let's dive into what we are doing. So the best way I can describe this show is empire building. My belief that all of us, an individual person, human beings, have an empire. This empire is your building. It's your network. It's your community. It's your corporate. It's your spot. It's your space. And in that space, for all of us, if you can just imagine, I use a lot of analogies, and if you can just imagine an empire with 100 floors, right, or more. But for the sake of brevity, let's keep it simple. Let's say, for instance, this empire has 10 floors, and all of us go to the elevator or the stairs to get from floor 1 through 10. We don't skip steps. And the reality is all the things that we want in life is on the rooftop of your empire. So as all of us get on this elevator and push a button or take the stairs, we're all moving in different places, spaces at different times. So whatever button you push, just know you have to go through every single floor. Now, for some people, they go on the elevator to get to the first floor, second floor, and they stop. They check out the view, they enjoy it, they like it, and they stay. And there's others who like it, enjoy it, and then they outgrow it and they move. to the next floor and the next floor. So there may be people on the second floor, third floor, sixth floor, 12th floor. Who knows where you are? But whatever floor you're on, you have a perspective. That perspective changes based off of your willingness to dive into you to enhance your perspectives. The deeper you dive into you, the higher you go. The higher you go, the more your perspective changes. So a different perspective is all the magic that happens on the rooftop. The reality is it's not those things. It's the being. It's who you are. It's the person that you become. The person that you become get the things. The reality is you attract the people, places, and things based off of who you are, not who you once were. So you're working towards becoming the best version of you. This show is to enhance what you're already doing. If you're not doing anything, this show is for you too. This show might convince you or encourage you to actually begin doing something instead of the insanity. And as many of us know, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. This show can assist you with making decisions to create change because, in my opinion, my perspective, which is what I'm sharing, the only person you can control or change is you. So that's what this show is about. It's about you, how to become the best version of you possible. So, how are we going to do that? I'm glad you asked. We're going to have some courageous and uncomfortable conversations. Conversations with me and you listening, conversations with me and other people from all walks of life who are interested in sharing their story. Everyone has a story, and I'm interested in anyone with a unique story who's interested in sharing it. A lot of the guests that you're going to hear on this show are people that live life just like everybody else, and sometimes a lot different. And what I mean by that is one thing we all have in common: we're human. Unless you're a dog, listen to the show and hey, thanks for listening. But for the most part, human beings be doing human things, and that's what we do. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of human things. This show exemplifies humanism at its finest. So I hope you're ready. This empire, becoming the best version of you, the empire is you, the being, the person, the body. And when I think about the being, the person, the body, I think about three levels, three parallels. You'll see this over and over again. These three parallels, everything is in three for me. And with the three parallels, when it comes to us, the body, the mind, the heart, the soul, I think of a house. So all of us come from a house, literally, figuratively, emotionally, you name it. And within the house, there's three levels or three layers. Three layers of the house. The first layer is the attic. The attic is the top level, the top floor. And the attic is nice. I mean, it's pristine. You got a California King up there. You got a nice bar. Art is all over the place. You got Picasso to Basquiat. It's nice. There's soft music playing. You got candles going. It's beautiful. It's comfortable. And the attic represents your mind or your head. We spend a lot of time there, and a lot of things can't happen in your head besides the dream or the idea that you have. To break it down a little bit more, the attic is where you create the movies, the beginning, middle, and end, right? How the movie begins. You're kind of like Scorsese. Like you are great at directing movies. You got Denzel leading. You got Idris Elba. I mean, this movie is top notch. The reality is it never works out the way you planned it in your head. Why? Because it's in your head and not anybody else's. So my challenge to you is, how do we get in the game? Getting in the game is going right downstairs to the living room. That's the second floor. The living room is where the magic happens because that's where we are authentically. That's where we are when it comes to comfort. Your living room, you sitting on the couch with your shoes and socks off, rubbing them toes together, watching your favorite TV show or movie. It is comfortable in the living room because you're your most authentic in that space and place. And a lot of times you allow people in. We may not let people in our attic, but we let people in our house in the living room. The last floor is the basement. The basement, usually there's a padlock on it. We don't go down there. We don't spend a lot of time in the basement. It's dark, it's wet, it stinks. It's not clean, it's unkept. It's a lot of stuff that happened to us that we threw down in that basement, and we don't go to it. We don't go down there. We don't spend time there. But the basement is actually your heart. It's where all the magic happens. It's the trauma. It's the things from the past. It's the things that you try to forget, forgive, the grief, the loss, the hurt, the turmoil. It's all those things is in the basement. So this show will allow you to go to all three floors: the attic, the living room, the basement. So I want to give you some foundational principles so you can kind of find your way on the show, because a lot of these concepts will come up over and over again. So understand, when it comes to your house, you make the rules. And many of us are living by rules that do not serve us anymore. Let me give you an example. The word should is a rule that many of us live by. If you ever heard or said the word should, it's a clear indicator that you're living by rules that don't serve you anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore, because should is a rule, a law that's created by someone or something that has nothing to do with you. I just want to talk about facts. Should is in the past. Should keeps you stuck. Should you can do nothing about but feel guilt related to it or regret based off of something in the past. So therefore, I can beat myself up about something I have no control over, which is should. My challenge to you is to replace the word should with the word could. Could gives you endless opportunities to do and be different if you choose. But that's hard to do because of the rules. And all of us live by rules. And part of this show is to encourage you to begin living by your own rules, because those are the rules that matter. Those are the rules that count. Those are the rules that allow you to live life on your own terms. And if you're not, then you're doing a disservice to yourself and those around you, in my humble and professional opinion. So let's dive in. I want to give you a concept that's life changing for me. It's transformational for me. It helps me look at life differently. And part of this is interactive, engaging. So there's a lot of things that may come up on this podcast that requires you to do things, or I may ask you to do certain things, and I would challenge you to try them. Try it out. See what happens. And if you get results from whatever you try out, then keep doing it. So for this next piece, you're going to need a notebook, a journal, pen, paper, marker, eyeliner, crayon, pencil. It don't matter. Just something to write with. And if you're driving, if you're working, if you're doing other things, listen, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay. I need you back for episode 2. So do whatever you're doing carefully, safely. But if you're in a place where you can write things down, this is a great moment to get that notebook to write things down. So what I'm going to talk about first, this big foundational principle, I gave you a lot already. This is to kind of bring everything in. What I want to share is the difference between a salamander and a gator. You got salamander life and you got gator life. Part of salamander life and gator life, we're talking about animals, we're talking about mammals. Like, what is this about? A lot of things that I talk about are in analogies. And these analogies just make sense because I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual person. So I like to give visuals to what I'm talking about. So you got salamander life and gator life. Imagine a salamander. Typically, salamanders are soft, squishy, penetrable. Everything sticks. It's kind of like a turtle that left its shell. It's just out here, naked and afraid. And I ain't talking about the TV show. Salamanders are vulnerable creatures. So as a vulnerable creature, as a human being, there are 4 P's of salamander life. So 4 P's, this is what I developed related to all aspects of salamanders, people who are salamanders. Now, there's a difference between a salamander and a gator. A gator, can't touch them. They're not penetrable. They got scales and the water just flows off of their back. They're really not worried about a lot of things that salamanders are worried about. But let's talk about what a salamander is and what a salamander isn't. Number 1, there's 4 P's of salamander life. The first P is perfection. Speaking from a recovering perfectionist, salamanders want to be perfect. They want to get everything right the first time, even if they've never done it before. Salamanders have a perfectionist mindset, meaning it's a all or nothing mentality. Either I win or I lose. Either I'm great or I'm shit. Oh, yeah. I do cuss, by the way. Parental advisory is advised. Okay. It's recommended. This show for grown folks. All right. The next P, perception. So not only are you trying to be perfect, your lens is very limited. Remember I talked a little bit earlier about your empire, and if I stuck on the 3rd floor, imagine you are in a building and you are on the 3rd floor. You look out a window, you can only see 3rd floor stuff. But imagine if I Went up a few flights to the 8th floor, 9th floor, or even the 10th floor. My view is different. I see things different. On the 3rd floor, there's a bush right in front of me. On the 10th floor, I can see so many things around me. That's how we work. That's how we are. Your perception is your reality. You're entitled to it. Our perception is limited based off of our lived experiences or lack thereof. Have we left? Where have we gone? What have we done? That's based on our perspective. Number 3, salamanders, patience. They have none. They want it yesterday. They want it done yesterday. Like, why this ain't done yet? Why haven't I graduated? Why haven't I got married? Why didn't this happen? Or this happened? It's supposed to happen by this time and this time. It's all made up. It's arbitrary. This timeline you've created of when things need to happen and when things need to be, you created it. You made it up. Guess what? Welcome to the club. We all make things up. And a lot of things that we make up, we believe to be true, even if they're not. You can believe something so long that it becomes a fact to you, even when it's false. Salamanders are also not present. That's your final P. You're not present. Why? Because you're constantly worried about the future or the past. You're not present. Again, I mentioned this earlier related to that addict, being in your head, being in your mind. When you're in your head, when you're in your mind, you're not present because you're thinking about what if. You're thinking about what could go wrong instead of what can go right. And if I'm having this black and white mentality, that's all I can see is black or white, not even recognizing that there's a minimum of 50 shades of gray. There's endless opportunities, but if I can't see that, I don't believe that. So, review salamanders, 4 P's of salamander life. Perfection, want to be perfect. Perception, I can only see based off of my limitation. Or patience, I have none. Presence, I'm not. So that's the salamander. If that's you, guess what? Welcome to the club. I used to be a card carrying member. I've moved on. Now I'm a gator. Let me explain what a gator is. As I mentioned before, a gator is not penetrable. They got scales. They got a hard protective covering. They got teeth. They ain't even got to open their mouth. You already know they mean business. Salamanders ain't even got no teeth. Out here gumming the world. Ain't got no teeth, but talk the most shit. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Gators don't have to say much because their presence speaks for them. Gators, although with this armor on their back, they do have a penetrable side, which is the most vulnerable piece, which is the underbelly of a gator. But that underbelly, everyone doesn't have access. The only people that have access are those who've been chosen to have the access. So gators get to decide who gets to see that side of them. Salamanders ain't got no choice. They just out there. So when you consider access, when you think about access, I think about LeBron James. Anybody who has LeBron James' cell phone number, that person has access. And majority of the world do not have his number. Therefore, we don't have access. There's only so close we can get to him. I want you to think about yourself on that level. People can only get so close based off of the access that they have. So a gator, there are 5 C's to gator life. 4 P's to salamander life, 5 C's to gator life. Yep. Gators be doing the most. That's why they got 5 C's. The first C, gators are not trying to be perfect. They're just showing up every day. What that means, they're being consistent. The first C is consistency. Gators are consistent. They just keep showing up. We talking about practice? Yeah, we talking about practice. They keep practicing. The second C, gators are curious. Their perspective is open and willing to change or shift because they're curious about things that they don't know. They're curious about people, places, and things. They just want to know. Third C, gators are courageous. They take risks. They step outside their comfort zone. They're willing to do things that scare them. They're willing to be different. They're willing to do different. They're willing to just be courageous and take a lot of risk. Fourth C, one of my favorites. Gators, they spend a lot of time in the living room, which means they are authentic and creative. Gators are creative. When you're your most authentic self, that's when you're your most creative. And many of us do not display a lot of creativity because we're living a life based off of the mask that we wear. But imagine life when you take the mask off, you will be as creative as you can be because that's what gators are. And the last C, another top favorite, is gators celebrate. Gators do something salamanders do not do. Celebrate. They celebrate before, during, and after whatever it is that they're dealing with. Because for me, what I was always taught and told from my grandmother and a lot of people in my culture and community and the village is you're either in the storm, you just got through the storm, or you're preparing for a storm. And Gators celebrating every stage of that. So, where's your party hat? I challenge you to begin celebrating the before, during, and after. So, that's the difference between the salamander and the gator. And every day you get an opportunity to choose. I highly recommend you choose what works best for you. You have options now. To go a little bit further, I like talking gator talk. And a little gator talk is you have an opportunity to purchase a Gator Scales journal. So if you don't have a journal, you need a journal, want something a little more connected to the gator and salamander, there's a Gator Scales journal available for you to purchase on Amazon. Check it out. Grab you a copy, get you a copy for a friend. Just another way that you can begin diving into you. And as a therapist, journaling is one way that you can dive into you because you can begin writing your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs, your ideas, and you share it between you and you. It's a contract between you and you that you've just allowed the universe to have access to. Instead of in the attic, now it's in your living room in the present. So I hope so far you've been getting something. If not, turn it off. Just go push pause, push stop. Just turn it off. If you're getting something, turn it up. Ooh, let's go. Let's go. All right. So let's get back to it. On this show, I offer life work. Life work is a little bit different than homework. Homework, you take it home, you do it, you turn it in, you never remember again. Life work, you take it home, you do it, your life may change. So at the close of every show, I'm offering life work, which is a challenge to allow you or to encourage you to do some things you've never done before. So your first life work challenge, you can write this in your journal or you can just do it all week long. Every day this week, between now and the next episode, I highly recommend that you do something new, different, and or uncomfortable. If it scares you, do it. Yep. What's something new? Brush your teeth with the opposite hand. Put your pants leg on, different leg at a time. Instead of a t-shirt, wear a button down. Instead of button down, wear a t-shirt. Shave your head off, all of it. Yep. Or a piece of it. Now, depends on what you got going on in life, but I want you to challenge yourself to just do things you would never do. Hug somebody. Tell somebody you miss them. Tell somebody you love them. Make that phone call. Shoot that text message. Stop texting. Block. Unfollow. Unfriend. Celebrate before, during, and after. Be a gator. Write in your journal. Share this information with somebody. Just do something you don't normally do. Go a different route to go home. Go a different route to go to work. Choose not to go to work. Take a day off. Mental health days, they exist. Take a day off. Go to therapy. Try therapy. Oh, by the way, I am a therapist. 20 years of experience in this profession. So a lot of things that I'm sharing with you comes from my lived experience, my professional experience, research, my researcher, my education. So I just want to give you me, and you can do whatever you choose to do with it. I know without a doubt that there's something I have, and I'm just choosing to give it away. My belief in my higher power and God gave me a gift. I'm a vessel and I'm just here to share. So you have the same ability, meaning a gift to share it instead of keeping it to yourself. That's the first, new, different, uncomfortable. Second is wordplay. Wordplay meaning change or be willing to change some of your vocabulary. So if you're out here saying should and shoulding on yourself, it is an opportunity to start using could instead. Replace should and could and see what happens. Don't take my word for it. Take your life for it. Ooh, that was a bar. To me, that is. So, and the third, I think I'm going to give you 3 homework assignments or 3 life work assignments. These life work assignments can change all aspects of life because it allows you to pivot. So the last life work assignment I have for you is I have a playlist. Yes, the 3 Parallels podcast playlist is available for you right now. If you haven't been listening already before the launch, now you can dial in and get tuned into a community of listeners, people who enjoy, value, appreciate, and respect music. So I've curated this playlist, and who knows where it is right now, where it will be as this show continues, because it's living and breathing. It doesn't end. There's a song I may add every other day. It just depends on what's going on with me, what's going on with life. But these songs are curated by me and life happening, and by the guest that's been on the show. So the playlist is I've never seen anything like it, where it's a genre, it's many different genres and cultures and ideas related to music, from AC/DC to Mahalia Jackson all the way to Outkast. Like, it just goes everywhere. Um, and that's what I love about it, because that's the diversity of the playlist, the podcast, and the people. So the playlist is an opportunity for you to find the breadcrumbs. And what I mean by the breadcrumbs is things hidden in plain sight. And when I say things, I mean what you're attracting, what's around you, what helps you build your empire and get to the rooftop. Breadcrumbs are directions to where you're about to go if you're paying attention. And the more breadcrumbs you eat, the more bread you're going to get, no pun intended. And the more bread you get, the more bread you make. The more bread you make, the more bread you attract. The more bread you attract, before you know it, you wake up at a bread factory, hashtag Panera. And as a good friend of mine mentioned, you can go beyond Panera and you can be in Paris with a baguette as big as the Eiffel Tower. That's what breadcrumbs lead to. So the playlist is designed to give you some breadcrumbs. So the instructions are simple. What I recommend on the playlist, and you can find it on Spotify and Apple Music, Three Parallels Podcast, is turn the playlist on, hit shuffle, and then press play. Within the first 3 songs, you're going to hear, see, experience, or have the opportunity to do something new, different, and uncomfortable. The songs that are curated on this playlist are designed for the listeners. That's you. So every day I listen to the playlist and I play 3 songs, and within those 3 songs, it gives me some instructions, give me idea, give me hype, get me excited. It takes me places, because I don't know anything else that connects us better than music and food. For human beings, you put on some good music and you have some good food, you gonna have a good time. I don't know too many other things in life like it. So I decided to be intentional about this to help you get a few breadcrumbs to help live life on your own terms using these 3 parallels. So this is the first episode. We're just getting started, and I don't run out. I don't run out. I'm just getting started. I'm kind of actually being reserved right now, because I don't want to scare nobody away. But if you do get scared away, come back. Hashtag Casper. I'm also building a community. I'm building a community of people who are on this journey of life, who just want to get better, who want to move away from who they were, who want to embrace who they are and want to make room for who they try to become. I'm in the same boat. I'm working on trying to become the best version of me possible as a father, a husband, a professor, a therapist, a supervisor, a consultant, a motivational speaker. I do a lot of things, and all the things I do, I started as a salamander. Currently, I'm a gator in most, if not all. But but all of us start as a salamander. So if I'm willing to be vulnerable, I'm willing to be uncomfortable, I'm willing to do the things that's needed to become the best version of me. So this community is about people, humility, humanity, who just want to get better at being themselves and spreading love to anybody who wants it. So if you want to be a part of this community, tune in, dial in. And if anything that was shared on this first episode was impactful, was meaningful, was transformational, was a light bulb, was a honey bun, because I also hit folks in the head with a honey bun, share it, give it away. Don't keep it to yourself. Write it down, use it, go back to it, reflect on it, process it. Find ways to take better care of you by investing in you. And I appreciate you for investing your time in this, your time and your attention in this podcast. reach out. If you got questions, you got suggestions, you got recommendations, you want to give some flowers to myself, to the guests, whatever it is, you want to reach out, let's connect. You can reach out at 3parallels, and that's the number 3parallelspodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to me directly. Let's rap. Let's talk. Any way I can support or assist, I'm more than willing to do so. This is the first episode of 3Parallels Podcast. I am your host, the Dr. Jason Branch. I appreciate you for tuning in. We're just getting started. This is episode 1. If it was beneficial, if it was helpful, don't keep this information to yourself. Let's talk about it. Again, this community is people who are interested in giving to themselves and others. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate the love. And it's not a coincidence that you're here right now. It's not a coincidence that you decided to tune in. It's not a coincidence that somebody mentioned, hey, I heard this show I think would be beneficial for you. I don't believe in coincidences, and I would challenge you to reconsider them. So before I close out, I got to finish with a brief story. And this story is about the 3 parallels and how it impacted me, who I was, who I am, who I'm becoming. So an example, I want to share my experiences and my truth with you in hopes that you can see your truth within yourself and you can share with other people. So my story, a story of the 3 parallels. Ever since I was about 14, 15, 16 years old, when I bought my first car, I had this thing. Anytime I drive over 20 minutes, 30 minutes, if I'm driving a distance, I had this thing that I had to fill my gas up with car. I had to fill my car with gas. Oh, this show is so authentic, okay? You're going to hear a lot of that. So I had this thing where I would fill my car with gas and I would have to wash it. It was just a thing. Anytime I drive over 20, 30 minutes. And I've done that since I was about 16 years old. Recently, within the past year or so, and I'm 40 plus, I ran into a situation where, I'm working remotely, kind of in a rural area, and my cousin hit me up. He said, "Hey man, I'm in San Diego." He said, "Hey man, come through, come holler at me in LA." And I'm like, "All right, cool. When I get off work, man, I'm come through. I'm holler at you." And before I could even get on the interstate, I'm in this rural area and I'm driving around trying to find a gas station and a car wash. And I mean, I'm driving everywhere and I'm having anxiety. I'm stressing out, trying to figure out how I'm gonna get to LA without my car being washed and without gas in it. And something stopped me. And that something was my better version of me. That something was my future self. My future self stopped me in my tracks and said, "Hey man, what you doing?" I was like, "None." And my old self was like, "We trying to get to the gas station. We trying to get a car washed because that's what we got to do before we get on the interstate." And my current self was like, "Do I have to?" My future self was like, "Nah, bro, let's check the facts." Because sometimes the feelings are bigger than the facts. So I had to check the facts. And I checked the facts. Number one, you got over half a tank of gas. You can get to LA and back. These are facts. Second thought, I'm going to see family. He don't care what my car looked like. And my car was filthy, but he don't care. That's family. Second fact. Third fact, it don't matter. Get to LA, bro. That was my future self talking. So at that moment, I made a decision that I am done living this life based off of this 17-year-old boy, and I'm 40 plus years old. I can't keep living life causing all this disruption, trying to meet this rule that I created from the first place. This rule that has no context to today. And it was at that moment where all 3 versions of me, the old version, the current version, the future version, had a conversation. The old version and current version was in a fight, and the future version was sitting back, watching, waiting to jump in to share some truth. And when I start listening to the truth that my future self shared, my current self listened, my old self had to leave. Because when we become the best version of ourselves, the old version of us dies. The old version dies, and all that's left is a ghost. Hashtag Casper. Hashtag Patrick Swayze. if you're part of that era. If you don't know who he is, I just aged myself. I aged all of us. So when the old version of you dies, all is left in is a ghost. And that ghost can only do two things: propel you or haunt you. That's it. You get to decide what they do. And to become the best version of you, the future version, him, her, them, they, whatever future version that you have in your mind, in order to be that, you have to create distance from your old self to your current self. Your current self is who you can embrace now. Your future self is who you see yourself becoming. Your old self is just that. So when I finally got out of my way, I drove to LA, and before I even got there, it started raining. And then I pulled up. I parked in the back. He didn't see my car, just as I suspected. And I made it back home on that same tank of gas. And since that day, I've never had any issue related to getting gas or getting a car wash, because I recognize it doesn't matter. My car is filthy right now. And guess what? It doesn't matter. There's small things, but these small things lead to big things. And the big things is I haven't stressed about that since it happened. And that was a rule that I live by, that I've chosen not to live by anymore. That's an example of the three parallels. I want you to use my life, my lived experiences, the guests on the show, the community, the listeners. People are going to share their stories and share their truth. Take what you can, take what works for you, and let go of what doesn't. This has been an experience, and I appreciate you for listening. This is the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we discover who we were, who we are becoming. If this episode was valuable, please share. Much love. Have a great day, great morning, good evening, good night. Peace.
Feeling overwhelmed? Searching for someone who truly gets it? At J. Branch & Associates, we provide mental health support for BIPOC communities, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, and others facing unique challenges. We understand the weight of generational trauma, the struggles of identity, and the pressures of being a part of an underestimated and overlooked group. At J. Branch & Associates, therapy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We create a safe, culturally aware space where you can feel seen, heard, and understood. Finding a therapist who truly fits you matters, and that's exactly what we're here for. Our team of highly trained licensed therapists bring compassion, empathy, and real-world experience to help you on your journey to healing and growth. We're committed to helping you become the best version of yourself. Ready to take the next step? Visit us at www.drjbranch.com for more information, or call or text 404-436-2540 to schedule your free 15-minute consultation. You can also book your first session today. Thank you for choosing J. Branch & Associates, therapists of color providing exceptional care to BIPOC communities, quality service, exceptional care from authentic professionals.